cyclist in the Tour de France can burn 7,000 calories during a long mountain stage. That's the same amount of energy as most people burn in 3 or 4 days. Athletes clearly have unique nutrition requirements, and we need to understand what these are in order to fuel performance, delay fatigue, and enhance recovery and adaptation. The energy needs of athletes are clearly unique, but it can be quite difficult to estimate an athlete's energy needs. While most of us are interested in energy balance to keep our body weight in check, an athlete wants the energy from food to fuel their performance. However, athletes still need to ensure that they have enough energy available to maintain normal, healthy physiological functions. The amount of energy available for normal physiological functions is called energy availability. Energy availability is calculated by subtracting the energy expended during an athlete's exercise training from the total dietary energy intake. Low energy availability in athletes can lead to a condition known as relative energy deficiency in sport. This condition is associated with impaired physiological function, particularly in the endocrine, reproductive and immune systems, which can be detrimental to an athlete's health and performance. It is really important that an athlete consumes enough energy in their diet to fuel performance and to prevent low energy availability for maintaining physiological processes. Carbohydrate has long been considered to be the ideal nutrient to fuel exercise, particularly high-intensity exercise. Carbohydrate is stored in the muscle as glycogen, and we know that higher muscle glycogen stores can delay fatigue during endurance exercise. In fact, the point of fatigue or hitting the wall during endurance exercise is associated with the depletion of muscle glycogen. So a high carbohydrate meal before an endurance event or during high volume endurance training is recommended to ensure muscle glycogen stores are high and fatigue is delayed. A high carbohydrate diet is around 8 to 10 grams of carbohydrate per kilogram of body weight. This could be up to 700 grams of carbohydrate for a 70 kilogram athlete. Now, when you consider that there are about 40 grams of carbohydrate in 1 cup of cooked pasta, you need to eat a lot of food to consume a high carbohydrate diet. Having carbohydrate during exercise can also enhance performance, even in exercise lasting up to 1 hour, when glycogen stores won't get fully depleted. The performance enhancement from carbohydrate during shorter duration exercise is thought to be because the brain gets sensory feedback that fuel is entering the system, resulting in a reduction in the perception of effort during the exercise. Carbohydrate intake can improve performance during a longer duration endurance exercise by providing additional fuel, which can increase the rate of energy production and delay fatigue. Once carbohydrate intake during exercise exceeds 60 grams per hour, it is important that specific types of monosaccharides are consumed. This is because glucose absorption in the gut is the rate-limiting step for glucose to be used as a fuel by the muscle. Consuming other monosaccharides in combination with glucose will allow more carbohydrate to be absorbed and then used during exercise. Carbohydrate intake can also be manipulated to promote adaptations to training. Training with low carbohydrate availability makes exercise more taxing and results in an upregulation of the signaling molecules that promote adaptations in the muscle. This might be really beneficial at certain times in the training and competition season. We now recommend that athletes use a personalised and periodised approach to carbohydrate intake in their diet, depending on the goals of the individual session and the specific phase of the training cycle. Fat is also an important nutrient for athletes. Fat is the most energy-dense nutrient, but it is not quite as efficient as carbohydrate when used as a fuel during exercise. We can produce slightly more energy per litre of oxygen from carbohydrate than we can from fat, but the body's stores of fat will last for much longer than the body's stores of carbohydrate. In fact, after athletes adapt to a few weeks of a very high-fat diet, they can dramatically increase the amount of fat used during exercise. This can allow an athlete to have access to greater fuel reserves for exercise, which may be really beneficial for long-duration events like Ironman triathlons that can take over 10 hours to complete. Protein is an important macronutrient for athletes because of its role in tissue growth, repair and regeneration. Protein is particularly important for strength and power athletes where a large muscle mass can be very beneficial for success. But these athletes don't just need a high protein diet. It is also important to distribute protein intake throughout the day and also to consume protein very soon after resistance training. This will allow amino acids to be available for use in muscle repair and adaptation. Athletes should have 20 to 25 grams of protein after resistance training, and this should ideally be from sources that are absorbed quickly and are high in the amino acid leucine. Leucine is especially important as it acts as a trigger for protein synthesis in the muscle. The whey protein in milk is a particularly good source of protein for athletes. So you can see that the energy and macronutrient requirements of athletes are quite different from non-athletes. And it is important to understand how we can use nutrition to fuel performance, delay fatigue, and enhance recovery and adaptation.